Oh, hey there, everyone. It's your old buddy Wildflower Turquoise. And today, we're going to be going over the Week 17 playoff picture. Only 2 weeks left to go in the regular season. And I dare say, things are looking pretty crazy. A lot of the playoff pictures have already been set in stone. And a lot of the league has already been eliminated. But there are still some teams that are pushing for their playoff spot. And we're going to go ahead and break it all down. It's looking very interesting. Some teams are barely holding on though. But let's see who will make the postseason. Because it's all going to come down to these final 2 weeks. Hello, Steelers Nation. Welcome to another episode of Steelcast, a podcast where you don't have to be a Steelers fan. But it sure does help. I'm your co-host, Wildflower Turquoise. And today, we're going to be breaking off the Week 17 playoff picture, breaking it down. So, without further ado, let's start with the AFC, like we normally do. You know the tradition by now. Number 1 is Baltimore. Number 2 is Miami. 3 is Kansas City. 4 is Jacksonville. 5 is Cleveland. 6 is Buffalo. 7 Indianapolis. And a lot of things have to happen next week for some of these teams to make the postseason. Baltimore beating the San Francisco 49ers last week. Well, yesterday, really, last night, and pretty much with a win next week against, let's see who they play, the Miami Dolphins. That is going to be probably the Wildflower game of the week. Because, in case you've forgotten, Miami has 4 wins and Baltimore has 3. Well, losses. I don't know why I said wins. But regardless, in order for Miami to claim the first seed, they're going to have to beat Baltimore next week, but it's a road game for them. So it's going to be quite challenging, and the atmosphere is going to be crazy. AFC North football players, they like to hit. So it could get very physical, very fast. So the battle of the AFC's first seed is pretty much going to happen next week. Sure, Miami plays Buffalo week 18, so they could still lose the first seed, but basically the battle of the number 1 seed is going to happen next week. If Baltimore wins that game, they clinch the first seed. So it's going to be a very important game. And if Miami does somehow end up, whether they win or lose this week regardless, Buffalo's will be a game or 2 behind them. Will be a game behind them if they lose. So they need to win that one to win the division. And if they win, well, they need to secure the number 1 seed. So they're going to have to start their starters next week anyways. So it's going to be a rough road for the Dolphins. The Chiefs, for some odd reason, are not doing so hot. They have the same record as the Bills. They normally only had like 4 or 5 losses a season. And they just lost to the Raiders, who are making a pretty steep playoff comeback and are actually have the same record as the Denver Broncos now. The Jaguars, well, all the teams in the AFC South lost, so I'm not really sure if I should really be ranking them or not. The Browns have secured a playoff spot. The Chiefs, with a win this week against the Bengals, will secure their division. The Dolphins, with a win this week, will secure their division. The Browns have clinched a playoff spot, so really it all comes down to the Bills and the Colts. The Bills, with a win next week against the New England Patriots in a division game, which should be a cakewalk for them, should clinch a playoff spot with a win. So it's all going to come down to the Indianapolis Colts in that 7th seed, and they play the Las Vegas Raiders, who are currently 7-8, and they're one of the teams in the hunt. Broncos are 7-8, and Texans, Bengals, and Steelers are all 8-7. These games are going to be very important for all these teams next week. All these teams need wins in order to make the postseason. My underdog for the week is actually going to be... It's probably going to be the Raiders. Sure, the Broncos play the Chargers, and the Texans, well, they play the Titans. The Steelers played the Seahawks, and the Bengals played the Chiefs. So the Bengals are definitely not my underdog, because even though they have a chance, the only way for them to really beat the Chiefs is with Joe Burrow. Because, Joe Burrow is Patrick Mahomes' kryptonite. But he won't be playing, so I don't know if the Bengals are going to win. The Steelers could beat the Seahawks. I can see that happening. Especially if Mason Rudolph has himself another day. The Texans can beat the Titans. The Raiders are going to play the Colts. So that's basically going to be the battle of the 7th seed right there. And then the Broncos, well, they play the Chargers. So yeah, they have a chance. But I am going to make the Raiders my underdog. Even if they win and the 8-7 teams win, then they won't make the postseason. And they won't have the 7th seed. But they'll be right on someone's tail, especially if they win. So the Raiders are going to be my underdog this week. And as for the NFC, number 1 is San Francisco, number 2 is Detroit, 3 is Philadelphia, 4 is Tampa Bay, 5 is Dallas, 6 is Los Angeles, and 7 is Seattle. Seattle has finally made their way back in the postseason after their win last week against the Titans. And San Francisco, a really rough week for them as they lost to the Ravens, still have the number 1 seed though, but they really need to win. They have the Commanders this week, and we're probably going to get blown out, and then they have the Rams next week, so it's going to be tough for them to hold on to that postseason push. So they have the division on lock, but are they going to secure the 1st seed? The Lions play the Cowboys this week, so they might end up losing. And the Eagles play the Cardinals. So that's pretty much a cake game for them, although I said about the Giants last week and look what almost happened. So the Lions, for the first time in like 30 years, have won the NFC North. And Lions fans are excited. They've earned it. But now, what seed will they get? Because if they get the 3rd seed, and the Rams hold on to that 6th seed, then they have to play Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams in that 1st round, and that will be an intriguing game. It's something I really want to see. Dallas can still win the division of the NFC East, and they can very easily beat Detroit. They are undefeated at home this season. And the Seahawks, they play the Steelers, so it's gonna be at home for them. So Seahawks at home for them. So they have a chance to potentially secure a playoff spot. But the Steelers defense is good, and with the right QB on that center, the Steelers offense could be, emphasis on could be, very good. All the teams in the NFC hunt are 7-8 though. The Saints, the Falcons, the Vikings, and the Packers. The Packers and Minnesota play each other in a divisional matchup. As for the Saints and the Falcons play the Bears, who are for some weird reason resurging. I figured they would embrace the tank, but I guess not. And the Saints, well, they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And practically, that will be a battle for the division because the Bucs are 8-7. So, things are going to be crazy. My underdog for the week is going to be the New Orleans Saints. Mainly because if they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they can win the division with the win next week. And they play in Week 18 the Atlanta Falcons. So if Tampa Bay wins, they pretty much win the division. Because they play the Panthers next week, and that's going to be a cake game. So, and if the Saints lose, they pretty much don't make the postseason. Because 8-9 ain't going to get you in the postseason. I mean, I guess it could, but it really wouldn't work very well. Because, going up against Dallas in that first week would not be the best thing in the world for them. Although I guess whoever gets the NFC South is going to have that 4th seed. Because both the Lions and the Eagles and the 49ers all have 4 losses and there's only 2 games left. And Tampa Bay only has 7 losses. So it wouldn't really matter. But that's the look at the playoff picture for this week. I'm excited, and I know you guys are too. And things are looking up. But let me know everything down in the comments below. Who is your underdogs this week? And who do you have making the postseason and the 6th and 7th playoff seeds? Because these are going to be very important. The Bills pretty much have those on lock, but you never know. And the 6th and the 7th seeds from the NFC are not locked away. So it's anyone's game still. There's still a lot of football to be played, even though it's only 2 weeks left. So I'm excited. I know you're excited. And, of course, I am your co-host. I'm Wildflower Turquoise. And as always, you're in Steel's country.